to go butt up.
Hey everybody, it's Yolanda here with
Dr. Angel.
Welcome to On the Rise. How are you all doing? Hope that you are getting ready for summer.
Yes. I'm looking forward to the summer.
Yes, I am looking forward to spending some time with my girls again.
Yes.
You know, vaccines are a beautiful thing.
They are.
I'm just excited about that.
So wonderful. Being able to connect, being able to
Yes.
get out.
Yes, it is definitely feeding my spirit these last few weeks, being able to see people, engage with people, spend time with people that I haven't been able to spend time with a long time. So I am hoping that all of you are going to do that too. But before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I just want to encourage you to check in our social media pages at On the Rise Talk on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and On the Rise Talk Show on YouTube. Like and subscribe so you can find out whenever we're going live, or just, you know, putting some good stuff out there for you so we can stay in touch with you and engage with you all, so which we so love doing. So.
Yes, make sure you don't keep this good stuff to yourself.
I know that's
Make
right.
sure you share it with somebody. Are you really a good friend if you don't share this with somebody else?
You know, just like you talk to what you call it,
Clarence and Sally.
well, you know of a good Clarence and Sally, and for all of y'all that didn't catch that, that's a sale or a clearance. You know, you share that with your friends. You need to go ahead and share this too. So
Yes.
yeah, so they can come on in here and get some of this good stuff. So
Come and
you
get
know,
some
because
good
we
stuff,
gonna get our lives right as we open this world up again. So we
Yeah.
all gonna do it together, right? Because we don't have all the answers. So
No.
we love when y'all make comments in the comment section.
Yes,
So.
we appreciate all the feedback. We
Yes.
appreciate all the comments. Appreciate all the notes and all those things.
Yes, yes.
It's good to hear from you. We don't want to just talk
Absolutely.
to ourselves. We want
Absolutely.
to hear from you and engage with you too. So please,
Definitely.
continue.
Yes, you all have some good ideas. But going back to the whole thing with summer,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to some fun stuff this
Me
summer.
too. Me
My
too.
birthday is in the summer,
Yes, it is.
y'all. My anniversary is in the summer, y'all.
Yes.
So I'm looking to get out of this house this summer. And I'm also looking to have one of my favorite, hi Aunt Evelyn. I'm looking to have her come and visit me and spend some time.
Evelyn.
Hopefully them cicadas are gone by the time you get here, so we can like be out on the back porch, you know, on the deck, so we could chill this summer and get into some fun stuff, go in some fun places. So just wanted to give her a shout out. She's always so encouraging. But on that note,
Yes.
we are still talking about the 8 dimensions of wellness.
Yes, we
you all.
are. Yes, we are.
And today we are going to park on the dimension of wellness that is intellectual wellness.
Yes, but before we get there, we want to just remind you of all 8 of them. We've already covered quite a few, but we have a few more to go. But we've talked about emotional.
Yes.
We've talked about social. We've talked about environmental. So today we're going to talk about intellectual. We still have financial, spiritual, occupational, and physical coming up. All right, and hopefully we'll have some guest speakers coming in too.
We working on it. We
working on it, but we can't share anything
no,
yet.
we're not going to share anything yet.
But
You just have to stay tuned in.
yeah.
You just have to stay tuned in.
But today we're going to talk about intellectual.
Intellectual. I love my intellectual shirt, you guys. You see it says, I'm awesome, looking like a periodic table. That's just my little geeky way of, you know,
That's
doing
fun.
things.
That's
But you
fun.
all are awesome too.
Yes.
This is that positive self-talk we talked about
Yes.
last week.
Yes.
I am awesome.
Oh, cool.
I'm also a geek, and for me, being a geek and a nerd is not a bad word.
It's not. It's not. I'm a little bit of a nerd myself.
Hey, nerds run
Nerds
the world.
rule. They
Nerds run the
do.
world.
They do. They do. I'm a bit of a nerd. It took me a long time to figure out that I was a nerd. And then
What? It took you a long time to figure that out.
So I just thought I was just an awkward black girl, which was not cool. Like, when you're awkward, you just like, okay, maybe I'm a little awkward. And then it was like, no. And there was not a word for it when we were growing up, right? There was awkward black girl wasn't like a cool thing. It was just like, you're just awkward.
It just wasn't cool to other people. It was always
Right.
cool to me.
And then it was like, oh, wait, you play all these instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, and you keep going to school.
Right.
Oh, you're super smart. And like, we were growing up, being smart wasn't always the cool thing to be.
It wasn't, but it was fun to me.
I was always good at school.
Yeah, I was like,
Clearly,
me
I
too.
just kept
Me too.
going and going and going.
Me too.
And then eventually I was like, oh yeah, I am a nerd because I just play like 3 trillion instruments. And
What instruments do you play, Angel?
I play the flute, the piano. Well, I can play the flute and the piano now still, but I have played the flute, the piano, the violin, the clarinet, and those are the 4.
Yeah, I did the violin. I didn't do 4 because I was also the nerdy girl who liked sports. So I did the violin, I did dance, I did softball, I played tennis. And then I did track and field. I did the shot put, discus, and javelin. Field of it.
See, you were the cool girl. So because you did sports too, I didn't do sports till like late in high school. So like I ran track my senior year, and I was like a football manager, and a basketball manager, and a wrestling manager. So I like did the stats.
Yeah.
Even though I don't math, I did the
So
stats.
cool fact. Yeah, math was one of those trip up things for me.
Yeah.
Just so you know, every girl that is a nerd is not always good at something.
Right. Right.
We have our own nerdy insecurities too.
Yes.
And so here, fun fact. So because a lot of the football players worked out with the track team,
Yeah.
during off season, I actually ended up tutoring some of them.
Oh.
So I got cool by association.
Oh, okay.
So I really wasn't that cool.
Right.
But I got cool by association because people were like, oh, she, I was helping them get their grades together, nothing more. But they didn't.
Right.
But people thought,
Right.
I was really in with the cool kids.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't. I was still a nerd. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Nerd is not a bad word.
Nerd is not a bad word. Nerd is not. I don't think I like knew where I.
It didn't
fit.
bother me. It didn't bother me. I was just,
And it's good now.
yes, it is good now. Nerds can do very well for themselves.
They absolutely. To all the kids out there, stay being a nerd or a geek or awkward black girl. It turns out well in the end.
It does go well in the end. It did work out well. I married a nerd and we had nerdy kids.
And they're absolutely beautiful and wonderful. And fun fact, recently, her daughter, who is 21, helped me get my entire life together. Entire life. So it works out in the end. And the young ones can help get the more mature ones all the way together.
It's generational. There you go. It's generational. We just keep passing it down.
But we didn't even get into the definition of intellectual wellness.
Clearly we've used it, but we're just going to get into what it is.
Let's talk about what it means. Intellectual wellness is recognizing and creating abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills.
So there you have it, right? This for nerdy people, this is great, right?
Yes.
Because this is our wheelhouse, right? We have made an art out of discovering and utilizing new data, information,
right,
and other things in our life, which is
right.
probably how we ended up on the show together, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And not only that, when you meet some of us who have, you're introvert but with extroverted tendencies.
Yes.
I am just a whole extroverted nerd, right? And I can be introverted, right? When I want to go into my little cave and figure some things out. Yeah. When I get focused, it's dangerous. Like I don't talk to anybody, right? Because I'm in that flow.
Getting
right?
your
When
zone.
they talk about, when I get my zone, yes, I start pouring out creativity, but sometimes I have to get alone to do it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So I think it's really important that we think about like where are those spaces where we're really creative, right? Because we all, and I know I'm a creative, right? I'm a writer and I love to do creative writing. I do short stories. I do poetry, all those things, right? I did a poem for your wedding.
She did. It's still on my mantelpiece.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. It has been there since we bought the house. I have always had it there. And my kids discovered, they're like, wait a minute. Is this Miss Angel? I'm like, yes, Dr. Angel wrote that many moons before she was a doctor. So from our wedding. So yes.
But that's my space, right?
Yes.
I love to write. But also recognizing that, so I went to school at Trenton State when it was the Trenton State, but now the College of New Jersey.
Yes.
So that I could be a writer. Like my undergraduate degree is in journalism and professional writing. Yes. And so being able to take my passion and turn it into a career.
Yes.
But then I realized also what I was called to do was to be a helper. And so I went to be a counselor and a family therapist. But I use writing in the work that I do. So I absolutely, and people, this may be too much technical therapy language, but some people will get it. I'm a narrative family therapist.
Okay.
So I use narrative, I use our stories
Right.
to help people process through whatever has gone on in their life.
Right.
Especially when I work with people who have dealt with trauma, right? But it works for me.
Yes.
And it's it's a therapeutic practice.
Absolutely.
So how do you learn how to use what you're passionate about to do the work that you're called to do and that you're meant to do? And when you can figure that out,
it is amazing. It is amazing. So you call it what you're passionate about. I call it using what you deem your superpower, right?
Yeah.
Right? Have you sat down and thought about it, right? I think a lot of us, we do things very naturally. I know for me, for a long time, I knew my voice was a part of my superpower, right? I have always known, even from when I was very young, I've always used my voice as a way of encouraging others and pulling others into information that they didn't know before, or into getting them, or I've always been a type of person, I tell you this, and my family laughs at me all the time, I have like, please tell me your story written all over my head.
Right.
I've always been someone that people just kind of walk up to.
Yeah.
And you talk about using their story for therapy. It's like they trust me with their stories. And then I have this unique superpower of actually discerning and filtering through to get to the heart of where their issues lie, or to give them some wisdom and encouragement about something that they may be going through.
Yeah.
But for years, I didn't know what that was.
Yes.
Like, I was like, I don't know what this is, but people keep coming up to me telling me their story. And I had to realize it was a gift.
Right.
And I had to learn how to use it, which is how I ended up becoming a coach.
Yeah.
Because I have the ability to see things that others don't see in themselves.
That part. So you just said something about discernment, right?
Yes.
I've had discernment since I was a child.
Right.
And like you said, not knowing what to do with it, like seeing things and knowing things and being like, wait,
Yes.
oh my, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
But then recognizing like, oh, this is helpful.
Yes.
I can sit with somebody and I can understand what they're not saying, or I can sense what's going on.
Yes.
And being able, as an empath, to
Yes.
have empathy and not judge.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so then sitting in this space of, I'm gifted for this.
Yes. But I used to say it's a blessing and a curse sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I think the part that felt like a curse to me is sometimes I see things before other people.
Yeah.
And so it's always been a struggle with me for whether the timing was right to make it known to them. And I think that sometimes used to come off as me being a know-it-all, or being somebody, truth is hard, right?
Girl.
And so when I was younger, I didn't know how to tell people in the right time, and I didn't know how to say it in the right way. And I think that took years of being refined and learning more about myself and how to use my gift effectively.
Yeah.
So,
and I think for me on the flip side, I wouldn't use my voice because I was afraid it wouldn't be received, or people would be like, wait, how do you know that?
Yeah.
So I shushed my voice. I kept myself quiet. I kept myself in, which meant then I wasn't walking in my purpose. Right? And so then sitting in this space of not being like, oh, how many people could I have helped if I, but like, okay, now that you know this, then don't not walk in your purpose anymore, right? And so like, okay, if you know these things about you, how are you going to walk in your purpose moving forward?
So you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
I did a piece for an anthology called Living Out Loud.
Ooh.
And in that I talked about how there were times where I silenced myself when I knew that I should actually be speaking out.
Yeah.
And if you want to grab that, it's actually on Amazon. So I was excited about that. That actually happened during quarantine last year. I ended up getting published. So that was fun for me. So, but it is hard sometimes when you know things intellectually about yourself, or you feel yourself moving in a different way. But it's kind of scary. And for me, it led me to seek more information.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a part of my intellectual wellness and growth, is I had to seek more information about the gift. Right. And I had to start seeing it as a gift first. I think for me, for so long, especially when I was younger, I was told, because I was very open and truthful and I saw these things, to be quiet. You know, in my home life, you know, I had a very traditional Southern family, and a lot of times they believe children should be seen and not heard. And so you weren't given that encouragement sometimes to develop that, because they would say you talk too much. I got in trouble in school for talking a lot too, y'all. And unfortunately, I passed that to my daughters.
Quick story.
Because you see things and you want to express it and you want to talk about it. And so, yeah.
Quick story. You talk about talking too much. Kindergarten, I got moved because I was talking to the kid next to me too much. So then I sat in this chair. They put me my desk by myself. So then the teacher called home and said, we've moved her by herself, so now she's talking to herself. So you were not the only child who got in trouble for talking too much.
Hey, listen.
But that space of she talks too much, now people pay me to talk to them.
Exactly. I think that's the funniest thing, right? So then people don't understand that sometimes what we see in our children, those things that we try to squash in them, are actually a part of their superpower.
Exactly.
Right? I have a daughter who's very expressive, who is she's a jokester, you know, she's very open, and I really try not to kill that in her. Now, there is a development piece, right? Where teaching her how to use her voice more effectively, and so that people will hear her and understand what the points that she's trying to get across. She's very good in debate because of this.
Absolutely.
But not squelching her superpower like that was done to me when I was younger. And it took me many, many years to unravel that for myself. And that is a part of my creativity and my intellectual wellness. Is holding that all inside is not good for you. If there is something, if you have a passion or desire, or God has put something in you and you're supposed to use it, when you don't use it, you feel off.
Yes, that part.
You feel off.
If you don't use what is put inside of you, it feels off.
Yes.
You know, I'm supposed to be doing something.
Yes.
I'm supposed to be going over here.
Yes.
The other piece of that is you're not always supposed to do the same thing forever.
Yes. Okay. Now you stepping into my lane right now. So recently I've made some major transitions in my life.
Right.
And I struggle with this because we get used to we've learned how to do a job. We've learned how to, you know, do a particular skill. And we think that we're only going to do this for the rest of our lives, right? And I think as adults, we get more rigid with change.
Yes.
Right? We don't want to change. This is comfortable. I know this lane. This is my space. But what if you're being called to do something different? How do you handle that? Maybe there's another side to what you know about yourself that you're not developing because you're too scared to release what you already know, to pick up something new and learn a different skill that will actually hone your gift, right? Because we have the choice as to whether or not we're going to choose to step into those spaces, because there's this thing I use with my family called skills transference.
Yes.
Right? The skills I learn over here can actually be very beneficial used in this space and maybe more impactful.
Yeah.
But if we don't allow ourselves to hit the pause button and reevaluate where we are and move into those spaces, how will we ever know?
How will we know?
Intellectually, we get stuck.
We do. And I think there's this other piece too, that we often think I have one gift.
Ooh, now that part.
Right?
That's good.
So I started playing the violin. I learned how to read music when I learned how to read. So they taught me how to read music when I was 5, which was very smart, right? Like, you know your alphabet, so now you can know the letters that go on a musical staff. But the first instrument I played was the violin. if at some point, and I played that for a little while, and then I played the clarinet, then I played the flute, then I played the piano. The piano is my primary instrument. The flute is my secondary instrument. But if I had at any point gotten stuck on my only gift is music,
Yes.
I would not have gotten into writing.
Yes.
Or if I had gotten stuck on, okay, I can only play the flute, I would not have gone to the piano, which ended up being my primary instrument.
Right.
If we get stuck in, I only have one gift. If I got
Yes.
stuck in, my only gift is writing,
Yes.
I wouldn't have become a therapist.
Yes.
So we need to understand that we don't just have one gift.
There you go.
And if I had only got stuck in, hey, I am a writer, and not taken the chance to go back to school
Right.
for therapy, I wouldn't be doing what I'm supposed to do now.
And using that skill that you
Right.
learned, right?
To move over here.
To move over here, right? It all works together,
Right.
and all, that's what Romans 8:28 says. It
All
all works
works
together,
together.
right? God is working it good for His purpose, and I think sometimes we forget there's a higher purpose. Sometimes, whether you believe in God or not, there's always something higher for
Right.
us to look at and to see in the world. And honestly, I think we forget this uniqueness of who we are. Like, I was laughing earlier when you were calling it like awkward. It's just our uniqueness,
Yeah.
right? And how it is displayed in us. Someone else could have the exact same skill, but they don't display it like
same
you
way.
do, right? Because you are uniquely you. I used to believe that there's a bunch of people out here speaking. What am I saying that anyone else is not saying? And I had a really great mentor that said, yes, but they don't say it the way you say it.
Right.
Because you have a unique way of saying things
Right.
that for some people it lands home,
Exactly.
right? And those are your people.
That's it.
You don't have to worry about who this speaker has or that. She goes, those are your people, right? And the people that need to hear it from your voice will receive it better because you're saying it. And so I really had to like
Yeah.
process that. Like, I never thought of it like that. We tend to compare ourselves to others and look at them, but we don't see our own uniqueness. We don't see what we bring. We don't value sometimes what we bring to the table. So I think that we all have to remember, just because we have a gift, we still need to work on ourselves and grow ourselves and learn how to use our gifts in ways that makes us more impactful, right, in whatever purpose that we're pursuing.
Right.
So
And, I don't want anybody else's gift.
there you go.
I play music by reading it because I learned so early to read. I can't play by ear.
Oh wow. Okay.
But the person that plays by ear, that's their gift.
Yes.
While I think it's great, I know that's not my gift.
Yes.
So you're not going to hear me playing for choirs.
There you go.
Because that's not how I learned. That's not what God gave me.
Right.
That's what God gave you. So I don't want your gift.
Right.
I want mine,
Mm-hmm.
what I have.
Right.
But if I become envious and I'm like, I wish I could do it like that. I wish I could play by ear.
Yes.
Why didn't God give me that? I'm missing what is intended for me.
Yes.
I'm going to miss the mark, and I'm going to miss being able to be available and give whatever other people need from me.
Right. Right. That's really true. I think that like I said, you have to value what you bring to the table.
Right.
And everybody doesn't bring the same thing. And the other thing that I learned, like you talk about you using your English for therapy. I ended up getting a marketing degree and went into IT.
Yeah.
And I had no idea I was going to go that way. It
Right.
just happened that way because I married a nerd, a guy who's in computers, and he drugged me down that lane. But what I realized after I got there, I realized that the same communication and marketing skills I used, to get my degree and in the business world, because I had internships with
Right.
Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
I could actually translate those over to help desk and other places because customer service is customer service no matter where you're giving it. I had worked in retail stores and other places like, you know, in fast food restaurants, and you learn these customer service skills. Well, those skills transfer to a help desk,
Absolutely.
right? They transfer when you're working tickets. They transfer when you have to go see customers at their desk. So just because I had a degree in one thing, it didn't stop me from pursuing a career in a space that I had not been in. And I think we need to be more open and realize, especially now as the world is opening up and there are many opportunities coming out of the pandemic. What if this is your season to learn a new skill, to learn a new job, and to go for something different than what you're used to?
Yeah.
Could you challenge yourself to see what you already have in a different light?
Right.
Like what's in your hand and how can it be used differently?
And realize that nothing is ever wasted.
Okay, that's good.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever wasted.
Yes.
There are things throughout our lives that we are going to sit and pick up and use for something else later down the road.
Yes.
And that is not to negate anybody's pain. That is not to negate anything that has happened, but to recognize nothing is ever wasted.
It is not.
We've talked how much I use music in therapy.
Yes.
I use music all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I use the writing in therapy.
Yes.
We use music to connect.
We do.
Right?
We do. Yes, we do.
All the transferable skills. Nothing has ever been wasted.
It is not wasted. It is not wasted.
From the time I was 5, before then even,
Yes.
till now, nothing is wasted.
And not only that, the more that we push ourselves to learn what we don't know, you know, we talk about picking up new skills and learning new things. When you pick up new skills, for example, when you were younger, right? We talked about this before about credit and all that stuff.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so if we didn't know about credit before, we learned about credit from either a good or a bad experience.
How about it?
Right? And then we adjusted what we did according to how our credit reports looked. Right? We check. So you need measurements, right? You kind of need measurements for yourself. My measurement on a yearly basis is, am I doing the same things I was doing last year? And is there any new skills or knowledge that I've picked up over the year? Right?
Yeah.
Because the only way that I can tell if I am growing forward is if I'm looking, my perspectives are changing.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm gaining new knowledge about a subject that I didn't know about before.
Yeah.
That, you know, for me, it was, even just being a mom is a learning activity for me.
Every day.
Because as my kids change, they change the way I view them.
Yeah.
And then they let me know from the way that the communication that they give me, how I can better serve them moving forward, and how we can better our relationship or change our relationship moving forward, or how they need me to adapt in this season. And I think so many times we get frustrated with our kids because we always want our kids to adapt.
Right.
But sometimes we need to adapt too.
We do.
Right?
And how do they
different
learn that it's okay to try something new if they never see us do anything new?
Yes, we are the examples. You know, a lot of times parents like to look at they think their kids look at these celebrities,
right,
and all of these stars, but really, you are the first example they have.
Absolutely,
you're the first example. So I love what you said right there. Like, if we're not willing to do it, why do we expect our kids to do it?
And it's scary, right?
Yes,
a lot of us don't like change. A lot of us don't want to try it. A lot of us, I don't want to even say don't want to try anything new. A lot of us don't want to look foolish.
And I think failure is another thing.
Right. We don't want to fail. We don't want to look foolish. What if I get out here and I look silly?
Yes.
What are my kids going to think if I don't look like I know it all?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to look like you're willing to try. You're going to look like, hey, I don't know everything, but at least I took a chance.
There you go. And you're giving them permission to do the same thing.
Yes.
Right? Like, I tell my kids all the time, if you fail at something, it doesn't make you a failure.
Nope.
It just means that wasn't it.
How about it?
That just means that that's not the thing for you.
How do you know what you don't like if you don't try it and know you don't like it?
Ooh. Yes. Yes, that part.
I know that I don't like sweet potatoes. Don't anybody ever in your life give me sweet potatoes. They're the nastiest thing on this earth. Don't at me. Don't put it in the comments. They're nasty.
I disagree. I like sweet potatoes, but whatever. So she don't.
I know it because I tried it.
Right.
If I didn't try it, I would be speaking from a lack of knowledge.
Right.
So we have to try things in order to know what we like and we don't like.
Yes.
We
do.
have to.
We do. We do. And I think sometimes we get scared to do that. And sometimes it's because, you know, everybody else might like something, but we might not like it. Like you just said, I like sweet potatoes.
They're nasty.
I can't.
I can't even swallow them. I can't even stand the smell of them. They're nasty.
No, Angie, tell us how you really feel about them sweet potatoes.
Everybody in my whole family knows. Anytime there's a family dinner, y'all can have my helping. I ain't eating them nasty things.
So Angie's not eating sweet potatoes at my
Ever.
house, y'all.
Never, ever, ever. And she's a great cook. Yolanda is a wonderful cook. Y'all can have Yolanda's helping the sweet potatoes. I don't want them. But anyway, I digress.
Clearly she's passionate about this.
See? Here's another passion. Don't give me things that I don't like to eat. Thank you. Please and thank you.
This is why we have so much fun together. But I'm going to go back to the
I
point.
digress.
But the funny thing is, she knows she doesn't like sweet potatoes because she's tried them.
Yes.
I have met people that will not step out of their comfort zone just because they're scared to step out of their comfort zone, right? Or because they've never seen other people do it.
Right.
Or they've seen somebody that they did it and it didn't work for them. Yeah. So they think that it won't work for them if they step out of it. And I'm like, but how would you know? Maybe for that person, they didn't have the skills to sustain them, or they didn't have the desire to make it work for them. So we have to be careful. Or maybe it wasn't meant for them. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we can't always judge what our experience will be based on what our parents' experience or somebody else's experience has been. In case in point, my parents do not fly. They don't like getting on planes. They put the fear of God in us about getting on planes and flying when I was very, very young. What a lot of my friends do not know is I had a fear of flying for a long time.
Really?
Yes. I had a fear of flying for a very long time. It wasn't until I got married. Well, so I did fly when I was a teenager. Okay. And then when I got married, my husband and I took our honeymoon and we flew. Mm-hmm. And I let him know before I got on the plane. I said, you know, my family doesn't fly, and I'd only taken like 2 flights maybe at that time, and maybe 1 flight. This was my second flight. And so when I got married and we flew on a plane and we went to the islands, we took a cruise. That was a monumentous moment for me because not only was I was flying to another country, right? And so that was huge for me. And then after that, I used to plan girl trips, and Angel knows this, almost every year. Mm-hmm. What people didn't know is I planned girl trips every year because I was forcing myself to get on a plane.
Wow.
So I go, yeah, let's go on a girls trip. The reason I wanted to go on the girls trip is because I was like, if I stop getting on planes, I may not get on the plane again. Right? And there are too many places in the world that I want to go to not get on a plane. Mm-hmm. So I forced myself by making planning an event or something to look forward to, you know, a new adventure. Mm-hmm. So the new adventures were what drove me to get on the plane. Yeah. And spending time with my girlfriends is what drove me to get on the plane. But do you know how many fun things I would have missed out on? How many memories I would have missed out on if I had just said, nope, I am not doing that. I refuse to get on a plane. I refuse to push past this fear because I believe that getting on a plane is too much for me. Mm-hmm. And so we have to check where some of these fears and where some of these behaviors are coming from. Because again, mine was rooted in my childhood because my parents had such a fear of flying. Mm-hmm. But I can honestly say it took me until the age of, I guess I was around 41 or 42 to get on a plane by myself. Wow. And I finally got on a plane by myself and I was okay. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was going to be a nervous wreck for the whole flight. But that is because I forced myself. Yeah. out of my own comfort zone. I forced myself to have new experiences that would propel me past my fear. And I think some of us, if we would plan things that would propel us past our fear, you can start out. I started out with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
Community, support. Now, I didn't tell them why I was getting on a plane every year. It's just like I get on roller coasters every year for the same reason. I don't want to be afraid of them. But I'm saying it is that part where you have to take these baby steps. No one's asking you to run before you walk, or crawl. Sometimes we gotta crawl a little bit, then walk, and then we can go, right? We can move faster.
But Yolanda, that's the piece though. We have to do it afraid.
Yes.
Right? There are things that are terrifying, and we've said before, fear is real.
It is real. It is real.
And sometimes we have to do things afraid.
Yes.
And having the courage to say, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway, is so important.
Yes.
You know, we're not saying any of these things, trying something new, stepping out of your comfort zone, trying to, maybe even go into a new arena for your career.
Yes.
Right? Going to a new arena as far as your education is easy. But sometimes there really is this space of doing it afraid.
Yes.
And I think that's the other piece that you brought up of having someone with you.
Yes.
I might be afraid, but if I have my new husband, if I have my girlfriend, I'm not as afraid because I'm not going alone.
Exactly.
And so having the good people around you that'll say, I got you, girl.
Yes. That's why we said social interactions, so important.
So important.
So important.
Who you have in your corner matters.
That's your tribe. That's your community. Those are the people that are going to cheer you on, right? And they celebrate you, right? They celebrate your wins, and they sit with you in your losses.
That part.
Right? And I think we have to remember we don't always win. But we don't always lose either.
No.
Right? And so I think that the only way for you to grow intellectually, because intellectually you grow by being around different people, getting out of your echo chambers of what you knew, right? Like I had family that used to tease me when I left the city and moved out into the suburbs that I lost my card. I lost my card. And I said, I'm okay with that. I gave it up. Right? You have to know when you're outgrowing people and spaces, because intellectually you have to move. Yeah. Right? There's a different level of creativity. There's a different level. You feel pulled towards it too. It's not a thing of your, like, for some of us, at first you feel like you're pushing, right? You got to push forward. And then all of a sudden your purpose and your destiny start pulling you. Right? And then it's easier to let go of those old beliefs, those old things, because as you gain more knowledge and you gain more information, it ought to change you in some ways. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, it should. You should not stay in that same space, right? There should, and I think you're right. That pull, that thing that just pulls you, that I can't think the way I used to think.
Yes.
I can't believe the way I used to believe, which is also interesting in this space of sometimes you're like, did I really think? Did I think that was okay? Did I really?
Yes.
But I think it's, it's funny because it's like, okay, so maybe I believed this thing when I was 21. Did I really? I really thought that was right when I was 21. And now that I'm 40 something, it's like, girl, you didn't know anything. But really being able to see how I really have to think different. But I think this other piece about when you're walking in what you're supposed to do, like you said, sometimes you can start writing, or sometimes you can start working on whatever it is, and you're in a zone. And it's like, how long? I've been doing this for hours. But you're doing what you're supposed to do, so it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I've been doing this for hours, right? I was working on something a few months ago, And I literally was sitting there and I had to make myself get up and eat.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I'm in a zone. I'm on my computer.
Yes.
And it was like, girl, if you don't eat now, it's like, all right, let me take a break.
Yes.
But when you're doing the things you're
Yes.
passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, now I know
Yeah.
that I'm doing that. But it is that space when you get to tie your passion to your creativity. And also, I want to know more about this.
Absolutely.
I want to study more. I want to read more.
Absolutely. Because you feel like it's you're pulled. You're
Yes.
like compelled. And I think as we get older, I mean, let's think back to when we were kids. We love learning new things.
Yes.
Right? We loved going outside. We love meeting new people.
Right.
We love playing, and doing all these different things. It was a discovery moment.
Right.
For all of us. And I think as we age, we kind of like lock ourselves, like the cares of life and everything start wearing us down.
Yeah.
And we forget to make time, I've said it before, to play and
Yes.
to learn new things.
Yes.
And I think, Angela, I don't know if you feel this way. I know for me, I've had to really carve out space
Yeah.
to learn new things. Like, it has to be so intentional with me to learn new things. And some of y'all probably out there saying, Yolanda, I have enough stuff to do, and now you asking me to try to learn something else. But I'm going to challenge you, because when your life becomes monotonous and you feel like it's just droning on and you feel like you're on autopilot, it's going to wear you down after a while.
And I think that's the space of, it's important to be a lifelong learner.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you can get monotonous and it can feel like every day is Groundhog Day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
But you don't, that's not, I guess it is sustainable in some ways. There are people that live that way,
Yeah,
but
but it
it's
kills
not
your
a,
spirit.
right. It's not a pleasurable life.
Yeah, it just kills your spirit though.
So it's important to be a lifelong learner. If you're not learning, you're really not living.
That's good. If you're not learning, you're not really living. And I also say, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because when you don't water a plant and it doesn't grow, it's
dies.
dying. It's dying. I like that.
Yeah.
You're not learning, you're not living.
So you have to find these ways.
Yes.
What I love, you are such a history buff. I love
I
that
am.
about you.
I so
love that. But going to all these spaces that you go to, right? I mean, pre-pandemic.
Yes,
but
pre-pandemic.
about to be able to do it again.
Yes.
And all the spaces that you travel to
Yes.
to find out about history.
Yes.
Right? And even looking things up and reading books, you're
Yes.
always finding more things out.
Yes.
Always learning more things. Always engaging in something
Yes.
that's going to teach you something.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's great, even that you teach it to your children. Like, hey kids, look, did you see this? Do you know this? Let's learn
Yes.
about this. Passing that on so that they become lifelong learners.
Yes. I think that's funny you say that, because when we would go different places for vacation, I always found a historical site or something about that area, because
Right.
every place you go,
Has some kind of
there's a history. Whether that's cultural, whether that is actually a site or somewhere that you can go, there's always some place. And so now when we go away, they go, okay, Mom, let's find a spot. Like Cece's always like, let's find a spot. Okay, where's the historical spot? We're going to go here, because I know you know of one. Or let's look it up and find one. And you're right. It has passed on to them, and they enjoy the challenge
Yeah.
of learning something wherever they go. And talking to people. Like, my daughter is an introvert, but she would literally talk to people to find out, what are the type of foods you eat in this area? Well, what do you guys like do for fun around here? Or because all of that is them learning about culture and whoever they're with in history. But that's also them bringing input into themselves.
Yes.
Right? To learn about someone that's different from them.
Yeah.
And I think if we could just take time to learn about people, we would judge less, because we know their story.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you could put yourself in someone else's story, you can kind of figure out how they got to where they are,
That part.
right? But when we live in these little echo chambers and all we do is talk about the same stuff because it's the only thing that affects us, when we're not concerned about people that are different from us, it starts to kind of make us seem we're very one-sided and one-layered, and we can't process complex issues because we don't have enough data about what the other side is feeling, doing, or whatever. And so I think that if we could just learn to do that, how much better could we all get along? And at least if we don't like what the other side is saying, we could at least understand
it. That's it. There are people throughout my entire life that we don't agree on everything.
Yes.
But I understand you and you understand me.
Yes.
And we can agree to disagree. We don't have to have the same view on everything.
That is one of my favorite. Let me just say, I done got in trouble about saying that so many times. But the truth is the truth. My experience is just different from yours. But I'm not negating your experience. You know, I get in trouble about that phrase. But I agree that it is well needed.
I don't have to agree with everything you agree with. You don't have to agree with everything I agree with. Now, yes, there are certain things that if that's how you feel about it, I'm not cool with that. Right. So I'm not saying that's a blanket statement. Right. Please hear me. I am not saying that's a blanket statement. There are some things, if we disagree, we not friends. I said it.
I seconded it.
I make a motion. Sorry.
That's one of the boundaries. That's a boundary. That's one of the boundaries.
That's a boundary.
That's a boundary.
But there are other things that are not that deep.
Yes. Yes.
I like cookies and cream ice cream. If you like strawberry, your strawberry.
It's just not my favorite.
We don't need to have a whole debate. I don't like sweet potatoes. We do not need to.
And you yelling at me about it is not going to make me believe the sweet potatoes taste no better. Or that cookies and cream should be my favorite. Like, right?
So you turning red, jumping up and down, raising your voice. The more you raise your voice, the more I tune you out.
Right. Exactly.
Raise your argument, not your voice.
Ooh, good one. I love that. That right there could preach. Because some people think you deaf because you don't believe what they believe. I'm not deaf.
I heard you.
I heard you the first time.
I still don't agree with you. I heard you very clearly. And no.
And no.
Please and thank you.
You're so nice. But it's true. I can't tell you how many people done yelled at me and I'm like, I got it.
I heard you.
Even my kids sometimes. I heard you. And you still not doing that because it's not a good thing for you to do, right? But we have to, like we talk about all the time, have that grace and patience with people, right? Because we are all at different stages of emotional development.
Yeah.
So we have to have that grace, but it doesn't mean we always have to agree.
No.
Right? And so I definitely agree with you with that, but I love that. I love that. Don't say it loud. I got you the first time, so it's funny.
I didn't like it the first time. I'm not going to like it the second time.
And we laugh about it, but how many times are we in places with friends and families and our relationships, and we feel like sometimes we have to change our thoughts or and bend to that will to please people. And we got to be careful of that because, again, as you take in more knowledge, even about yourself, you have to know what your likes and dislikes are. And the other thing I caution about, especially with, young ladies, and I have 2 young ladies, is before you get in a relationship, you need to know who you are.
Please, Lord.
Right? You need to know who you are. And you don't need to bend to somebody else's will because you can be easily influenced into things that you know are not good for you when you do not know what are your likes, what are your dislikes. What is it you want to do on a Friday night? What do you want to do with your weekend? What do you want to do with your life? What kind of goals do you have separate? You need to ask these reflective questions
about yourself
so that when you get in these relationships, you're not changing to be whoever that person wants you to be.
Right. And the other piece is, we talked about environment before last week, but I think one of the things that we need to remember is what are the environments that we're comfortable being in?
Yes, that too.
Right?
That too.
And that goes for a lot of stuff. Even learning environment. What learning environment do I...
Yes.
If I'm not comfortable in this kind of a learning environment, then maybe I need to figure out this other environment.
Yes.
But even if I'm getting into a relationship, if this person is bringing me into environments that I need to know all these things about myself.
Yes. Yes. And the only way you get that is by exposing yourself to different experiences and different places, but being careful, right? And being safe, right? But you have to go and explore the world. You have to go into different countries and different, states and different types of environments to even know. How do you know what you like if you never experienced anything but the same thing, right? So I always tell my kids, instead of buying things, buy experiences. Have experiences.
Yes.
They'll be more valuable to you in the future. You have these memories no one can ever take from you. You have these inputs, right, that make you process yourself on a deeper level. And I think sometimes we get afraid to do that. I don't know. I think it's the fear again. Like, we get afraid to do that because what if we don't like it? Okay, you just don't like it.
Don't like it.
It's fine. Okay, so now let's try something different, right? So, so all of that it goes to our intelligent, our emotional, our intelligence wellness, right? Our
intellectual
wellness is something that I don't know if we always talk about it this way, but it is definitely beneficial to our wellness to be able to expand and grow. Right, so we don't feel like we're stuck and stagnant.
Right.
Mentally.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
So this week we have a few resources.
Yes, we do.
That we wanna talk about. One that you brought up that I want to go read that. And I haven't read this one myself, but Angel said it's a great read.
Girl Code. I love Girl Code. I actually like any book by, and I'm gonna ruin Kara's last name. So please don't fuss at me. But Kara Alwill Leba. Like I said, I'm a mess up her last name. But Kara is a great writer. Girl Code is really good. She has a couple of books, but it really talks about being successful. It also talks about interpersonal relationships.
Awesome.
So yeah. I really like Girl Code.
I'm going to have to pick that one up. But I have read Happy Women Live Better, and I like that one too because it kind of talks about a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Being able to get in a flow, being able to grow, recognizing, areas in your life where you need to serve. Because that's another way you get intellectual feedback is that you go and serve your community, right? You learn some of the things you like doing. You learn some of the things you don't like doing. You learn some of the people groups that you're really passionate about and things that you want to do. So she gives a lot of great tips on serving and playing and all those wonderful things that Angela and I kind of touched on today. But that's a great read. And also, I threw in there The Year of Yes.
Yes.
That book changed my life, right? Shonda Rhimes, we love Shonda Rhimes. She's amazing. You talk about a creative person.
Right.
She's super creative and has done amazing things in Hollywood, and just putting women and people of color and everybody to the forefront, right? So I love her book Year, because even Shonda Rhimes talks about how she almost closed herself in. So I thought that was a great book to kind of talk about what we were talking about, how she kind of got in this little mode where, she was kind of just going through and doing things, but had forgotten, like, she needed to develop her own creativity and passion and step out of her own little comfort zone. So I was just like, that's a great book to talk about. Just that whole,
trying new things and
stepping out. And it was beautiful because her sister actually challenged her to do that. See, we have to have those people in our lives that challenge us, right? We sometimes don't like those people because they make us uncomfortable, but you definitely, we need that community. Right. And stuff. So you all check those resources out and let us know what you think. But I think you'll enjoy them or whatever. So, but I have enjoyed this topic. Definitely enjoyed this topic.
Absolutely.
So next week, I don't even know if we know what we're going to talk about next week.
We're not sure yet. We're still working on a few things. We have some things in the cooker, simmering.
It's going to be a secret. So
Yes.
we'll post as soon as we know.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do next week. We're gonna be giving ourselves a little break, surprise, and taking some. I'm looking forward to meeting up with a couple of my friends and stuff in the coming weeks, and getting myself back out there and visiting safely some of my good friends. So you all take care of yourselves, and Dr. Angela, thank you so much again.
Thank you,
It's
Yolanda.
always so much
It's
fun
so
when we
great.
hang out. So remember what we always tell you guys.
Keep rising.
And bring somebody with you, because there's nowhere to go but
up.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for joining
See
us.
you next
Nowhere to go but up.